Hey guys, Mr. Abyss here with Life as a Shonen. If you are enjoying the content in our channel, don't forget to like our videos and go ahead and subscribe. Alright guys, we're back with you again this week to bring you the next version of Evil Batman. This week we're featuring Batman the Devastator. So we open up the comic in the dark multiverse with a one-page spread of the face of Superman. I guess this is our Earth Zero Superman that is currently trapped in that kind of dark multiverse lightning, keeping him in the nightmares, being a conduit to the antenna that they need. And you actually have the Devastator speaking to us in an inner monologue, noting how he should have been able to see it from Clark in the very beginning. And through all the niceness, I'm a wonderful superhero, I'm only here to do great things, the Boy Scout grin, that he should have known what he was the entire time. I think you should already be able to tell if this evil Batman's supposed to represent Bruce's fear of letting people in. He doesn't do it with the Robins, he doesn't do it with Nightwing. I would say the closest person to him, other than Alfred, is probably Superman. It's his best friend. They've gone through a lot of horrible things together, and with each other's help, they've always been able to pull through. Clark had always told them to love each other, to tear down the walls that had kept them from trusting each other, but it ended up going very, very wrong. Right now, though, we flash back into our Earth Zero, where in the Merciless video, the Suicide Squad were mentioned, but I didn't really know, well, where were they? What were they doing? Well, it turns out they were trying to invade the Fortress of Solitude. Probably, knowing Amanda Waller, she probably somehow knew about the anti-monitor antenna, so they sent someone there to go ahead and take care of that. But it was too late. The Devastator is already there. He has problems telling the difference between his world and our world. They're extremely close together. In fact, they're probably the most like each other than any other version of all these Batman. Barbados had sent the Devastator here to go ahead and get the cosmic tuning force of the anti-monitor to use as an antenna for their dark multiverse lightning energy stuff. The Suicide Squad, though they were sent there to retrieve whatever, had to engage in battle with the Devastator. He actually says that even they viewed the Fortress of Solitude as hallowed ground. Superman is viewed as this symbolic thing you strive to be, even for them. Even for these degenerates. Some of them are degenerates, what are you going to do? Even for these degenerates who sometimes cross the line between good and bad, even this place is sacred. No matter what, in the end, though Superman may stand against them at times, he is there to help. His main reason to be there is to protect the people of Earth, and even they can respect that. Suicide Squad had heard that the Justice League was making their last stand, and they wanted to be a part of that. They're inspired by the Justice League. It's kind of really cool to see that the people view them in that way, that they are this thing that stands against evil, this imposing force that will always be a wall between them and the danger. No matter how high it ever gets, no matter how dangerous it's going to be, they are there to protect you. And the Suicide Squad wanted to be a part of it, and we enter into the engagement between the Devastator and Lobo. Sadly, though, this is a Bruce Wayne with the ability of Doomsday. You can have as much regeneration as you want, but this is a force of nature. There's not too much in the end you're going to be able to do to it, and he even says that they fell so easily. He took them down one by one. And Lobo's trying to taunt the Devastator, telling him, "You're pretty ugly. I've never seen a Batman this ugly in my life. I wonder what your Robins look like." Probably shouldn't have said that, because after that, the Devastator grabs Lobo's chain, spins him around, throws him in the air, hits him with a extreme blast of heat vision, which instantly incinerates Lobo. If there's nothing to regenerate, he can't really regenerate. We instantly switch back to Earth Zero. We're actually at the Daily Planet in Metropolis. If you remember from, I believe, from Metal number 3, when Wonder Woman and Superman wake up, they're in Metropolis. When they look down upon the city, they notice that there's many inhabitants of the city that are already infected with the Doomsday virus. Lois Lane is engaging in conversation with Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy says that there's a lot of rumors online that are going around about what's actually happening right now. That there are rumors that they've lost 6 cities in just a few days, and nobody's even been able to see Superman or Batman. We don't know where Wonder Woman's at this time at least. Aquaman. The superheroes are gone. This is not like your normal attack. Normally, there's at least people standing against the wave. There's no one there. They can't find anyone. This is an unprecedented situation. But Lois tells them, you've got to have faith in these people. They've always been there. They will always show up. You can't give up. That's the worst thing you possibly can do. What would Superman say if he was sitting here right now? He would tell you, Don't worry, we're here to protect you. Go to a safe place, let us handle this. Lois reminds him of that, and Jimmy accepts it. Lois decides to go ahead and leave the Daily Planet, probably to get a better idea of what's going on, or that she needs to go to protect Jonathan. A dark figure actually calls out to her name. She turns to speak to him, and it's Bruce Wayne, which doesn't make much sense, because right now Bruce, well, at least I think he's either in the Dark Multiverse, or he's in that same dark antenna lightning place that Clark is. Not really sure yet, but he's not around. She asks Bruce, what are you doing here? The world's falling apart, because she knows it's Batman. You should be out there doing something, but Bruce cuts her off. Tells her that he needed to come here to talk to her. There's something that he needed to say, which in the middle of all this sounds absurd, so she's probably taken aback a little bit. She said she's been putting on a brave face for everybody, that even though she's been saying these things, normally she would still be able to have contact with Clark, but even she can't get a hold of him, so something's going on. She needs to know if he's okay. To which this Bruce says, no, Lois, Clark isn't okay. He's the problem. You zoom in on their hands as they were shaking. It is revealed that this is actually the Bruce Wayne that is the Devastator. I didn't know he could actually switch between regular form and Doomsday form, which makes him a little cooler too, because you actually get to see the regular Bruce in this. It's not just a monster. And she remarks to Bruce, let me go, you're hurting my hand, as it starts to grow and grow and grow. In moments, what stands in front of her is no longer Bruce Wayne, but the Devastator himself. He remarks that he had made it so that Clark could never hurt him again. So you're flashing back already to the fact that this is that version of Batman's fear. He lets someone in, and they hurt him. And it's actually, Bruce Wayne, though he seems like this stoic, emotionless, matter-of-fact person, deep down inside, he has emotions. He is a regular person. There are people that he loves, and he does have emotions. He doesn't want to get hurt. He's afraid of it. This is what happened to him. He let Clark in. Clark hurt him. The Devastator says that he did this not only to protect himself, but to protect her from Clark. And with that, we flash back to Earth -1. And I think by this dark multiverse, Earth is so close to ours, because, ours is Earth 0. This is Earth -1. So hopefully I'm not just pulling something out of my butt, but I would think the closer in number it is, the more like your universe it actually is. May or may not be true. Hopefully it is. The first thing we see is Batman holding the spear with the kryptonite, like from the Batman vs. Superman movie, which, by the way, didn't suck. I don't know what everyone's talking about. The movie was great. Finally saw it 2 weeks ago. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Which means, with the spear, he's probably engaging in battle with Clark. And he notes that they never figured out how it happened. Whether it was a solar storm, Darkseid, Mr. Mind, kryptonite, there was never an answer as to why Superman had turned on them. Which makes it even more frightening than it already is. Because does that mean that he was that all along? Did he really just put on an act to us? He wasn't a good person. It was all just to set up this ultimate betrayal, which makes it even worse for Bruce. I mean, they spent weeks trying to figure out the answer, because since it was him, it was worth trying to save him. It was Clark. It was the one where if you couldn't take something out, he was there at least. At least he's that final blow. He's your pretty much walking Deus Ex Machina. Bruce is doing his best. Probably wasn't too prepared for this battle. You see him blocking his freeze breath. The next panel, he gets his arm taken off by Clark, and his heat vision just lasers right through it. Bruce's arm is gone. Superman gives him a hit. He flies across the city. They had kept up hope for a long time. Superman has turned on them before, but it's been something doing it. And if they could just find it, they could reverse all of this and everything could go back to the way that they were before. But there was something very different that happened that showed them that there is no hope here. This Clark killed Lois Lane, and that was the last straw. Clark would never do that. I don't care whatever happens to him, what changes about his mind. He will never hurt Lois Lane, and this one sought her out and killed her. And that broke Bruce. That's when he understood, okay, I gotta stop this guy. This is getting a little too extreme. This is the actuality of the fear that I've had about Superman the entire time. The fear that I put away because, of course, this person cannot be that. But he is. And it hurt Bruce. And he hopes that Clark understands how deeply that it did hurt him. And on the next page, you have Clark standing over a very battle-worn Bruce. Now, Bruce can't take too much more of it. He's lost an arm. He's been hit a few times. This isn't like the Batman vs. Superman battle. He doesn't reference this, but he brings up that he never understood how all the other Leaguers, because, Superman has very, 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 very good hearing. He can hear the whispers. He can hear people's conversations, which has probably got to be a weird life to live when you're able to hear people talking crap about you. But he notes that everyone really, truly believed that if they fought in a one-on-one battle, Batman would take him. Clark knows different. I mean, honestly, if we had to be honest about this, if Superman wanted to, like he says, with only a look, he could split him in half. With a single breath, he could freeze his heart. With the slightest touch, he could break every bone in his body and vaporize him. And what does Bruce have? A spear with with a rock on it? And he asks him, "You understand how weak all of you are to me, right?" Bruce stares at him, blood running down his face, replies, "Yes, damn it, I do know." Reaches for the spear, which Superman blows it away. He's not even going to let him get close to it, nor is Clark going to get close to it either. And without that happening, what is there really for Batman to be able to do? This is where it takes the turn for the worse. He tells Clark that he really loved him. He believed in the world that Superman promised us. That's why Batman was going through all the things he was going through. He truly believed that Clark was the one that, given the right direction, given the necessary help, having a team by his side to do things that he could not normally do mentally maybe, that they could bring about the world that Superman would always talk about. He says, "You made me hope for a better day." But he knows it was all a lie now, and he will never let him hurt him again. And he pulls out a certain section of his utility belt, presses a button, and the transformation begins. The Doomsday virus starts to quickly take over his body, and the spikes start forming out of his arms. The gray skin starts to take over. His muscles get bigger. He knew that the Doomsday virus, the strain of the virus that he had created, would make him powerful enough to beat Clark in a one-on-one battle. If you give Bruce Wayne the strength, speed, some of the abilities of Superman in a one-on-one fight, I think Bruce destroys Clark. You have this guy training all these different martial arts with the ability to crack continents with his fists. Sorry, Clark, not going to do too much against him. But he also thought that even though he would have this strength, even though Superman had done all the things that he had done, Bruce would not be able to make himself do it. This is his best friend, which makes it really tragic that through all of this he cared about this person so much that he really thought he wouldn't be able to stop him. Not because he was physically unable to, but because mentally he couldn't kill this person that he loved so much. As the Doomsday virus slowly took over his body, it muted even that. He felt his feelings start to dull as the bone armor grew across his body. The Devastator's monologue continues, and he says that for the first time in a long while, since all of this had gone down, since the betrayal had happened, that he felt free of the love that Clark had inflicted upon him. And it felt effing great. He loves it. He grabs Clark's head, slams it in the ground, and I'm not sure if this is like a cloud of kryptonite that Batman breathes, but he breathes a green cloud of smoke into Clark's face, and he starts screaming out in pain. As Clark is screaming and writhing on the ground underneath the Devastator, a gigantic spike just grows through Clark's chest. In an instant, boom, Superman's dead. That's all it took. You see Superman's dead body laying on the ground, multiple spikes going through different parts of his body, and a dead glaze over his eyes. A very cryptic scene, and the Devastator thought he would feel sorrow when Superman was gone, but it just made him mad for all this time that he had held back against Clark. In the end, here's how I view Superman versus Batman. And I know people get kind of weird about the prep time thing, but it is a little true. If Clark just showed up and started fighting Batman's dead. There's nothing he can do. In an instant, the match is over. But if you give Bruce time to think about it, to get a plan, have the battle occur where he wants it to happen, blah, 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 you're going to get yourself a much better fight. And with that, you have the appearance of the Batman who laughs. Just like with the Merciless, he showed up minutes before the world starts to fall apart. Because this guy, like the Merciless, could, one-shot the Batman who laughed. He's just a regular guy, just extra crazy. The Devastator actually thinks that it's the Joker himself. Batman who laughs tells him, "Take a look deep inside. Listen to my heart, listen to all these things. You can tell that I am another version of you. And not only am I another version of you, there's a world up above us, where there is a metropolis, where there is an Earth that still believes in Clark Kent. That has no idea that deep down inside he's this monster, just waiting for his opportunity to turn everything on its head. And I could take you there." After hearing all of this, the Devastator instantly remarks, "Bring me there. Take me to this world where they're at so that I can show them who Clark Kent is and I can protect them from him." We switch back to our Earth Zero, back in our regular multiverse, and the city is starting to be destroyed by the Doomsday virus. You have the bone spikes popping up out of the ground. Multiple people are infected, slowly turning into Doomsday. You have a conversation between Lois Lane and Bruce. That the infected are getting stronger, their hearts are closing off to the world, their bones are sharpening, they're becoming dangerous weapons, all capable of going toe-to-toe with Clark. Lois tells them that she's going to stop him. They're going to find a way to end all of this. No matter how bad it is already, they're going to be able to pull through. And right in the middle of this, he tells her, don't you understand, Lois? You're actually the carrier of the virus. It's already over for you. The only reason you haven't transformed is because you're always around Clark. That you spent this time soaking in Superman's excess radiation. You have a slight defense against the Doomsday virus. But it's going to happen. You are going to turn into one. And right after he says that, a blast of heat vision hits him directly in the chest. It turns out to be Supergirl and other members of the Superman family, much like the Bat family. In DC, you've got teams set up around the main heroes now. And they have arrived to protect the place that Clark would normally be there to protect. But this is Doomsday Batman we're talking about. Even the three of them together, there's not going to be too much they can do. Lois takes her opportunity to go ahead and leave the area. She looks for a taxi, just some way to get to where she needs to go. She begins to speak to the taxi driver, but he's already taken over by the virus. It's going to be a matter of time until he becomes a Doomsday. So she apologizes, removes him from the vehicle, takes the taxi, and starts driving onward. We find out in the next panel she was actually heading back to their apartment because, you know, Jonathan Kent's been there the whole time. The city's going to hell. They need to be able to do something with him so that he doesn't get hurt. But she can't find Jonathan. Turns out he's actually outside on the balcony about to engage in battle with Supergirl against the Devastator. He notes that the Batman Doomsday has already pretty much taken out Kara and the other members. That Supergirl is actually starting to turn into a Doomsday. And right before he has the chance to speed away and go help, Lois grabs his cape and stops him. Jonathan wouldn't be able to help. He would be a hindrance. Even though he's a Kryptonian, he's a child. He doesn't have the maturity to handle this. He doesn't have the strength. It's not a place he needs to go. Lois knows that. She actually has a hood on her head so that Jonathan can't see that her face is starting to distort already. Takes Jonathan and tells him that when I put you in here, some walls are going to come down. That even if Clark had to break into this room, he would not be able to. This has been set up to stop any and everything that could ever possibly try to get to Jonathan. It's that final panic room. There's enough in there for Jonathan to survive as long as he would possibly need to. Jonathan's starting to really realize this is a very, very serious situation. He's kind of freaking out a little bit. He reaches out his hand to touch Lois and realizes that there's glass in between them, which freaks him out even more because why isn't his mother coming with him? He starts speaking about how Dad always wins. He's always going to be there with the Justice League to stop whatever evil comes. They're going to fight back. They're going to beat the bad guys. And he's not going to have to be stuck in this room forever. That's crazy. The good guys always win. Don't you believe that, Mother? There's not much Lois can say. At this point, the Doomsday virus has taken over. Her eyes turn red. She becomes Doomsday. The monologue with the Devastator comes back up, and now instead of talking to himself, he's more subconsciously to Superman. He wants Clark to know that he saved the people. Because in his mind, this Clark, no matter what he has ever done for the city, is that evil Clark underneath. And that he has gone ahead and protected the entire city against him. And he wants them to know that. He gave them the strength that they need to be able to see through his smile and stop him when they need to. And that now when they look up in the sky and see him, they're going to be able to see him for what he truly is. But this was not his only mission. He actually has a mission from Barbados, like we saw at the very beginning of the comic. We flip back to the Fortress of Solitude, where the Devastator has acquired the Anti-Monitor's antenna, and he's bringing it back to Gotham City, to the mountain that appeared in the middle of the city, to Ground Zero, their base of operations, as you could say. He takes the antenna up, places it upon the mountain, and instantly it becomes an antenna, a conduit to all of this dark energy. With the tuning fork, they have the tool that they need to harness all the incredible cosmic power that is strong enough to reshape the very foundation of reality. Flip back to the Dark Multiverse for the final page, and you get to see where the tuning fork is actually getting all of the energy it's trying to manipulate. It's like a tower built out of the bodies of all these people that are trapped in the nightmares, generating all of this dark negative energy, with Clark stuck in the direct middle of it, being the only one that has not turned to bone yet. And he says to him at the end, I hope you understand the truth, Clark. I hope that somehow you can hear my voice from your prison in the Dark Multiverse. That you can feel my hate, because you did this. Like you did on my world, like you do on every world, you made them believe. You fooled them into thinking that you would always be there for them to save them, to lift them up, to make them better. And that belief is exactly what will drag your entire world into devastation. And with that, we have the end of this week's tie-in. Now for some afterthoughts. My only fear so far in the Metal series is that we're going to have a Deus Ex Machina / ass pull to get ourselves out of this. But it's Scott Snyder. He knows what he's doing. It's just right now, there's no way for them to win. Even if they find a little bit of this metal, that's all you need to take this down. These guys have devastated every hero that has been presented in front of them. Every defense that this world has been taken out in one fell swoop. A small group of heroes would go out and find these small rocks that would change all of that. Is a little, I don't know, let's see how it goes. I'm interested to see what they're capable of doing. Some of these evil Batmen are not mentally strong, really. I think you could get to the Devastator. I think you could get to the Merciless with his guilt and Diana. The Red Death and Murder Machine are going to be a little more rough, especially the Murder Machine. He doesn't care at all. There's nothing to talk to there. You're just going to have to beat him. With Bryce Wayne, I really think you could talk to her. They're more on the spectrum of normalcy than, well, I guess you could say Dawnbreaker is a sociopath, so it's going to be a little harder to get to him. But he's a very cowardly person. So, going to continue reading. I believe next week we get the big one that I've been waiting for. Finally, we're going to see the backstory of the Batman Who Laughs. I know I've been waiting for it. You've probably been waiting for it too. So next week we're going to be back here again to bring you that comic. If you have been enjoying the content on our channel, don't forget to like our videos and go ahead and subscribe. See you next week.